If you've ever tried making anything experimental with RPG Maker, you'll know one of the biggest limitations is the grid, and how that limits how your character can move and where you can align objects. Now, using Cutievirus' 3D plugin, I'm able to achieve diagonal movement and gamepad controls, as well as move objects in a three-dimensional space, aligning them using X, Y, and Z coordinates, as well as offsetting them to create a 3D environment. And today I'm going to show off this 3D train scene and the upgrades to the controls that I've added recently to my 3D project in RPG Maker. So again, if you're new here, or if you just need a recap, my name is Scott, and I've been working on a first-person 3D horror RPG Maker game. And I've been tracking the progress of this over the last 6 to 8 months or so, making videos every time I add a new system, such as stealth, first-person combat, and some other fun experiments like cloning 1,000 objects on screen at once and creating a 3D giant monster as a boss. So let's start with diagonal movement. By default, RPG Maker is built around 4 directions: forwards, back, left and right. But when you're walking in first person, it feels really stiff. Previously I had it turning on a strict 90-degree angle and sticking to the grid, but thanks to MV3D, diagonal movement is built right in. Simply by adjusting those turning circles to make a smaller increment, I made it a 15-degree turn with each push of the button. Suddenly movement feels a lot more smooth and natural, and exploring the world flows a lot better. Now let's talk about gamepad support. This is one of my favourite parts. Again, MV3D makes it possible to map controls on the controller, so movement goes on the left stick, and camera controls are done using the shoulder buttons, actions on the face buttons. It's the kind of thing that makes you forget you're playing an RPG Maker game, and it feels a lot more immersive. And the next part is a very big one. Now this is camera pitching. Again, this is built straight into MV3D, but being able to look up and down transforms how the game feels. You're not just walking across a flat map anymore. You can tilt your head back, up and down to take in a giant structure, or down into a pit and feel the depth of the world. Such a simple thing, but again, it adds a lot of immersion. Of course, I didn't code all this from scratch. These features are built into Cutievirus' MV3D plugin, and the work that went into that is amazing. And what I love about this is how it empowers you as a developer. You don't have to be limited by what RPG Maker was meant to do. You can take your ideas further and actually make them playable. Again, I think a big thing is about changing how RPG Maker looks and removing that obvious RPG Maker made quality. And anything you can do to change that, I think, is a big deal. So changing controls, removing the grid-based pattern of it all. I like how this scene, this is a train scene with all these objects moving by. It's very janky, very glitchy. But again, I think a lot of this is going to add to the art style and the weirdness of it. Some parts I will polish up just to make them look a little bit nicer, but in general, I think this is kind of the visual quality that I'm hoping for, at least at a demo stage. And this area is going to probably be the intro to the game. This will be the first area that you'll see. So these like train carriages will act as tutorials essentially. Like each room will teach a different mechanic before it leads into the main game, and it dumps you off into this massive snowfield area that you'll see in a second. I decided as well to start you off with some repellers, some healing items. You can see the custom menu there, and then yeah, so we drop out into the main area that you'll see now. Again, I want to point out the camera pitching here. It's quite a big deal. I really like how this makes these big ominous buildings look. I really liked the art style of this area, but I think it adds a huge amount being able to pitch the camera up and down. The immersion has come a long way, and again, I'm controlling this all from the gamepad. So with a left stick to look left and right, and to move backwards and forwards, and then using the shoulder buttons to pitch the camera up and down. You can also strafe left and right with the shoulder buttons there. Do a little like side step left or right. Also been working a lot on the verticality of this area. You can see all these like hills and ramps, little like areas in between the buildings. The idea of this is mainly this area is a bit of a sandbox area essentially. If you just to progress with the game, all you'll need to do is basically just enter that big building in front of us. But I had a feeling that like sort of like the castle grounds in Mario 64. In fact, there's actually a small Easter egg we're getting on the roof here, but I won't spoil that now. Yeah, sort of like the castle grounds in Mario 64. I remember reading that when they made Mario 64, a big part of it was getting the movement to feel correct just in the castle grounds area. So as long as just running around here, like, you know, looking at things and moving around is fun to do, then I think that's going to be quite a big step in how this game is going to work. So, yeah, if you've ever dreamed of doing anything like this in RPG Maker, a first-person adventure or a full 3D RPG, the tools are out there, and MV3D makes it possible. And honestly, that's the takeaway I want to share. Like, don't be afraid to bend the rules of the engine. With creativity and with the right plugins, you can surprise people and even yourself with what's possible. I've basically, like, I had ideas like the train scene and essentially like all these ideas that I thought might be impossible. The first-person shooting mechanic, the stealth mechanic, all these mechanics that I thought would be impossible to do. But just through essentially trial and error and just, perseverance, I've been able to make these work. And I want to release a demo in about 2 weeks or so. Although with Silk Song coming out on the 4th of September, it might be a bit silly to do that. But I don't exactly think the audiences overlap, and anyone who's following me might just, take away that 2 hours or so that it would take to play the demo. But it's actually, yeah, I'm quite impressed with how far this is coming along. And that will be the next step. So again, if you enjoyed this, please drop a like, share it with other RPG Maker fans, subscribe for more creative experiments, and remember, your game doesn't have to look pretty or play like anyone else's. The real limit is your imagination. Thank you very much. Again, if you want to follow the demo, please join me on Patreon, even as a free member. You'll be the first person to know when I have the demo available. And otherwise, please, feedback is so important to me. If you can let me know what you like, what you don't like. You saw on screen as well, they've incorporated a map feature. I will have more structure to some of these as well. I want to put together a longer video pretty soon, prior to the demo release, which will put together all of the work from the last couple months. And then the next step will be having that demo released, and then I'll be back onto other projects. So that'll be more chiptune remixes, more original music. I know there's a weird variety of stuff on the channel, as I mentioned before, but if you're enjoying it, then thank you very much. And again, thank you. Join us next time. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.